we're establishing a norm of just let's hang out instead of just
like we don't have an agenda.
We don't have an agenda.
We just
These liberals are.
We just know how entertaining we are. That eventually we'll say something worth going up on a podcast.
Yeah, as long as I don't have to cut out all of the shit that Noah says and post redacted, it's fine.
It's perfect. Noah's not here.
Yeah, I am shocked. You said he's at home playing on a Minecraft server.
He's just in his Discord with his friends,
but he said Ian, I can't come record. I need to practice for nationals.
Well, he could be practicing while on a Discord.
He's just ghost handing like as his friends do other stuff. Like he's just like in the middle. That's what I would do with Vanguard when I was playing. What was I playing with you guys? Oh, we were playing.
You were playing Narukami.
We were playing Divinity, and I was playing Vanguard Deer Days.
Oh, I got so mad at you.
I know you hated it so much.
It's
pretty scummy.
There's few things I can imagine worse than somebody's like, I'm hanging out with you. My attention is supposed to be on you. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go play this quick gacha game. And let me do a quick pull, see if I get my favorite Bang Dream girl. And that's the exact same thing as playing Vanguard on the side.
I know, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I was genuinely addicted when that game came out. Because I just hadn't played for so long.
And
I don't know if Julian, I don't know if you have any context. But
I've never played Vanguard.
No, it's
bad.
okay.
Don't worry.
Okay.
Well, I like it.
Okay.
I only know that the guy in my LGS who plays Vanguard is also the same guy who prints big anime titty tokens for Magic.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Venn diagram is definitely a circle.
I played Vanguard. It was like my first break into card games, and then like during COVID, I stopped because like there was a dwindling community, and then COVID like killed that.
COVID did something right.
I know.
The titty market was down.
Yeah.
It was a bear market.
And then they finally released. They finally released like a licensed video game for you to like play Vanguard, and I bought it on Steam, and I just like went crazy for like a week. I put in like 100 hours into it. Yeah.
Is it a complicated game? Like is it kind of?
I wouldn't describe it as a complicated game. I played back in like 2012. And back then, it was very simple. It was also very annoying because there's 26 clans, which are all like there's 26 clans, and you cannot run a single card outside of its clan unless it has like a specific keyword that says like, "Hey, don't worry, this guy, he's a real one. He can fit into 2 clans."
He's a double agent.
The double agent.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's extremely frustrating because you get like monthly sets, and in each set, they're like, "Here's 4 clans that get support, and the rest of them don't get touched."
Yeah, so there'd be the classic thing of like, oh, I play this underutilized clan. I wonder if I'll get any support. And they're like, yeah, here, you're included in a set. And you're like, finally, what are you supporting? And they're like this random archetype that got cards like.
So there's archetypes within.
Yes, it's bad. It's not great.
It's kind of similar to, honestly, you might not like this. Kind of similar to White Schwartz. It's like when a set gets released, it's like it's that set. Don't fucking look at or touch other sets. Every card you're playing should come from this set.
You're playing a different game every set.
Yeah.
Like this will be a different card game.
Well, and I think that's kind of the issue with what Vanguard used to be, and like what got me excited about it now is they're following a more 5-color traditional thing with like you have five nations.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with the word 5.
And then the nations each like. You'll have different ride lines.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I know. He's really
So,
invested in the idea of
that's
getting into
called.
Vanguard, and I keep trying to be like, "Hey, what if we pivot?" And he's like, "But what if we went back to Vanguard?"
That's specifically what they're called, but it's essentially like different archetypes
Yeah.
within your nation.
Either way, Vanguard. Don't worry, you won't have to learn Vanguard on this podcast. You don't. I'm sure it won't come up again.
The long and short of it.
Can you understand how much I have to cut from each episode now? But like,
you guys want to talk about Digimon?
I mean, kind of. Nats are coming up, so that's what like where Noah is right now.
Well, he's in LA already.
Well, no, but he's on that grind set. He
when are the Nats?
January 28th, I want to say. So like, it's
just
coming
dated
over.
this whole podcast. You just dated the entire episode.
That is objectively false. I did not say how far away January 28th is from today. I said, oh my god, can you believe that Valentine's Day is on February 14th? Sorry to date the podcast like this.
You just dated us.
You current yeared us.
Now people in September can't listen to.
Do you think that they're gonna because they know our general location from last episode? So do you think that now that I've said the date, they're like we can guess what time zone they're in based on when it becomes January 28th.
I said what time zone we were in last episode.
Right.
No, you said the wrong time. No, actually, no.
I said the right one.
We said the right time zone, but it was the wrong information about what that. Time
I said it was
zone
EST, and then Noah was like, "No, it's EDT." And then
Oh,
one of our fans on the Discord was like, "You're actually wrong, Noah. You idiot."
What a wild thing to say. One of our fans, one about a listener of
Wait,
our
that was
podcast, and
you?
two about Julian.
Oh my god, that's hilarious! I didn't know your code name. I didn't know you were. Okay.
You don't know famed Discord user Jules?
I didn't know
That
you
was,
were.
that was my first message in that Discord. So
See, that's
Yeah.
what it is. I was
That
like,
would've
I've
been the
never
first-
heard this person
that would
before.
have been the first thing you saw of my Discord, I guess, because
And
you
you're
were
calling
calling us for our Digimon sessions.
Yeah, how come you never show up?
I've been playing too many roguelike deck builders.
I've been playing Vanguard for fucking 8 years.
Nah, man. I can't go back.
You said you just bought a deck. I'm so angry.
No.
He keeps being like, no way I'm going to play Vanguard again. And you spent $200 on a deck?
Like $100.
On a Vanguard deck?
Yeah.
And that's just what you're gonna get when it comes to a niche kind of gaming market of like, you know.
But the thing is, niche games can have like a big impact. I
you
don't
also
know.
have
if-
a dedicated community.
Well,
too.
that's true too. But I was gonna say it's a single player game. But I may have mentioned it to one or both of you at some point in my past. But I'm a business graduate. I'm actually a CPA. I'm a chartered accountant, if you will. But I was gonna go into writing. No, I'm serious. I was gonna go into writing,
Yeah.
and then I got the accounting award in my high school, and I was like, all right, this feels like
forced.
There's
a forced play.
I was gunning for the writing award, and this is not important to the story. I was gunning for the writing award, and I just lost it. And the fucking girl who beat me, her name had fucking right before mine in the alphabetical order, so she got called up and got the writing award, and I was so fucking pissed about it. And they called my name up, and they gave me the accounting award, and I was furious. And my mom was clapping so hard in the audience, and I was like, there's a picture of me like accepting the award, just like looking like I'm about to cry. That's not all about the story.
Oh, that's great.
When I was in that accounting class that I got the award in, I was playing a little anime game about running an item shop called Reciteer, which is my favorite video game.
I thought it was Potionomics.
No, Potionomics is a reference to... Okay, so,
Reciteer.
It's good.
Reciteer is a Dojin game that was made at I think, 72-hour game jam. And then after the developer made, the Japanese guy, he's like, oh, this is a good idea. He developed it into a full game. And it was a super revolutionary game at the time about running an item shop, just sort of managing the business of the town. You can cause like market crashes. You can like buy out all of a certain good and then, manipulate the price of like, food if you want to starve the villagers. And like, it's a just interesting game for business. It's also like, it's cute, it's fun, it's easy.
Yeah, it's really cute when you starve out the villagers.
Well, don't worry. You get a lot more value out of starving out the jewelry market because you get higher rewards and premiums. But the important thing is that game then inspired a ton of other games like Potionomics, like Moonlighter, to be invented. And actually, recently, this week, I'm sorry, we're going to
go on.
This week, Steam had their capitalism sale, and I
saw that.
Yes, so I was very excited because I was like, finally, my people are market for me. I said, finally, a chance to see the games that I want to see on the market. And I went into it, I was furious. I was fuming because it was 40 spots down the list was Reciteer. And I was like, this is your history. This is what made you. You piece of shit. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Was Papers, Please on the list and you had to...
Papers, Please on a lot of games that were like, not at all about capitalism. Yeah.
It's literally an anti-capitalist.
The socialist agenda. Alright, before we, because I'm going to do my intro in a second, but just to close a loop, I'm probably going to include this later. Playing Reciteer is part of the reason... It's part of the reason...
I was going to say something administrative for the podcast.
Came all the way
He's
around.
like, can we take a quick break to be serious before we move on to our intros? Reciteer is so good.
The Reciteer is one of the main reasons. I played it in grade 12 of high school, and it's one of the main reasons I agreed to apply to business school instead of becoming a writer. Incredible. Because it was so impactful on my life. And that's all I wanted to say. Welcome to the Errata Sonata podcast. I'm Ian.
I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Julian.
Oh my god, another guest episode? Another episode to get rid of Noah?
Hey, good night, everyone. Wait, what if it's not night?
It's night, moms. We've talked about a lot of things. And, to peek behind the curtain, I'll say that it's been a hot 50 minutes of just hanging out before we started recording.
It's a good sign.
It's a good sign.
Yeah.
But I think what we're going to talk about today is speculative markets, because Card games have it. Video game collecting has it. Anime figures have it. I've been experiencing that a lot recently. And our local host Jeremiah is working at a comic book store.
Yeah, I started working at a comic store. Comic books are dumb.
Comic books are bad for it.
I'm trying to stay like. Honestly, the problem is I was hired to do like the vintage and like the social media stuff.
Yeah.
And like the more I get behind the counter, the more I realize I don't want to be there. But I have been
like you don't want to be in that role, or you don't want to be in retail.
Just in the comic book space, because
Really?
I think comics as a hobby are really fun.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, like anyone, it's so great when people come in, they're like, yeah, I've been reading this stuff for like 20 years. And like, yeah, they do some shitty storylines, but I still just love coming in, picking up my books and going home and reading.
Well, it's also it's very unique in that like a lot of media doesn't have like a franchise that's entirely separated from like a particular author. Like, Spider-Man has had dozens of authors and dozens of artists.
Yeah.
And that's really cool and interesting. But if I was to go read, The Wheel of Time, it has 2 authors,
right.
And even that's abnormally large for authors.
Right.
Meanwhile, Animorphs. Animorphs
the 39 Clues?
Listen, wait, hold on. You an Animorphs head?
No, I'm not an Animorphs head, but 39 Clues was like a book that I read back when I was, elementary school. Yeah. And it was always like varied artists. There was, the one that specifically I remember is Rick Riordan.
Yeah, Rick Riordan's great.
But I don't...
what else did Rick Riordan...
Lightning Thief.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then, he did like a couple 39 Clues books. And there was just like a bunch of... The reason I was into it is because there was like, oh, these novels come with cards. And I was like, cards? No way! They were all just like clues that were related to the story. I don't even think I finished like 2 books.
You know what I was really into as a kid? We're very bad at being on topic. Noah is guiding a lightning rod to keep us on track. And every time he's not here, I'm like, I want to talk about Animorphs. Here's what I'm going to talk about. I'm really into the Choose Your Own Adventure books. Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone. Sick, they're so good. I put so much time into them. I always thought they were so cool. I was definitely like the kid who I'd like want to go out at recess and play my Choose Your Own Adventure book instead of like go hang out with them. I had friends. I wasn't a fucking loser. But
I'm sure you weren't, dude.
I promise on God.
That's why your Digimon podcast is talking about how much you're not a loser.
No, but I was so into them. And I still am. I think that they're like a really cool medium. We were talking about visual novels earlier. Mm-hmm. And listen, Steve Jackson, Ian Livingstone, those are the original visual novel authors, my guy.
I do think roots are like a cool idea. Like branching paths.
Yeah, like routes that like can go different paths. Julian, were you into these back in the day?
No, but I have a story about them now, actually.
Okay.
I read to my brother.
Okay.
He's really into Scooby-Doo.
How old's your brother?
He's a year and a half older, but he's autistic.
Oh, okay.
But he'll come down at 10 p.m. every night. Let me read to him. And it's always Scooby-Doo. He's loved Scooby-Doo since he was a kid.
Nice.
And so it's always a Scooby-Doo book he gets to read to me. And so they have a huge wide array of mediums, right? They've got the comic books, they've got the Choose Your Own Adventure books.
Yeah, my comic books.
Scooby-Doo's one of the strongest lasting franchises.
Right.
Respected.
So there's been a series of Choose Your Own Adventure Scooby-Doo books.
Yeah.
And when he gets me to read them to him, he does not engage with the Choose Your Own Adventure parts. And he's in it for the Scooby-Doo. So we'll read the book in order. It doesn't matter if we're jumping from one branching path to another branching path.
So when some random shit happens, is he just
say, turn to page 38, and I'll say, okay, I'm going to go to page 38. He goes, I think you should read the next page instead. I was like, but this is a different story. This isn't the story that we're reading. We didn't choose these.
Are you caught in a time loop of the same book over and over again? He goes, read it in order, and then the next page, you're like, all right, I'm going to read it in order. He's like, no, that says go back to page 4.
No, thank God, because he doesn't engage with it at all. So we read it from front to back, and it's a completely jumbled mess of a story. And he just doesn't care.
Does he like it? He likes it though, right?
He loves it, and he's in it just because it's Scooby-Doo. And we're reading a series right now that's not Choose Your Own Adventure. It's short stories, but they are objectively terrible. Yeah. They're bad. They're spelling mistakes. They're missing punctuation. The chapters are sometimes 17 plus pages long, which for a children's book is long.
Yeah, but it's Scooby-Doo, dude.
It's Scooby-Doo, so the chapters are like, but it's 17 pages of like, how many times can Shaggy and Scooby gorge themselves in one chapter?
Yeah.
This is just feeder porn.
Yeah, it's a fetish book.
But it's like every chapter, Velma's got to lose her glasses, Fred's got to come up with
so they're still playing off like the classic tropes.
Yes, the tropes, and I think there's got to be some sort of contract where they're not allowed to give these characters more depth than like a character sheet of what they do, because like...
Which is so interesting, because since 2000... with the movies with Freddie Prinze Jr. and Matthew Lillard and his IRL appearance.
Yeah.
They've been willing to give like Scooby-Doo characters a lot more depth and complexity. Like we've had like 5 franchises, and there's all the movies that have come out.
I just remember Mystery Incorporated.
Mystery Incorporated is very well loved.
That was the one that I watched and was like, oh dang, wait, this is Scooby-Doo?
Yeah, no, Mystery Incorporated is the most well received of the reboots that have happened for Scooby-Doo. Yeah. But anyway, so you're going through all these Scooby-Doo books with your brother. Right. So your brother, who, by the way, as a very quick aside, I love his brother because I was about to leave Julian's house. And I looked over, I saw his brother Marco, and he was sitting at his computer, and he was watching a video. I said,
Scooby-Doo?
No, it wasn't. It was a random it was a cartoon I'd never seen before. And I said, well, I'm waiting for Julian to come upstairs and say goodbye to me, so I'm going to just watch his brother for a second. I said, no worries. And he was watching the same half a second clip of a video about 50 times in a row. It got like a second in, and then hit back. And then it got a second in, hit back. And I was like, let it play.
Was he laughing?
And he had headphones. Yeah, he was loving it. He had headphones in, and he was just like, he was watching the same 2 seconds. And it because it was like the pre-roll before the episode of TV.
Right.
So I could see the art style, but didn't have any of the recognizable characters. So I don't know what show it was.
Damn.
Yeah. He's got some go-tos. He's into the
400 Shreks.
Yeah, the Shrek in every lot. He heard the Shrek in every way.
He's the guy. His brother is the guy who watches every episode of a show in like one screen. In a grid on one screen. So it'll be like every episode of Community airing at the same time, but it's like split off and all the audio's overlapping on itself.
This is so chaotic.
And I'll walk in. He'll be watching like every time Martin Mystery has an oopsie or something.
Let's go! Yeah!
And he loves like Cardcaptor Sakura.
I didn't know anyone else knew what Martin Mystery was. Excited
it's
for me.
It's a totally spies people.
Thank God you guys know
it
what
is
Martin
the
Mystery
number
is.
one cartoon fetish community in the world. Totally spies.
They've got a bear, a twink, a woman. They've got it all.
No, do you guys know this? Do you guys know about this? Like the Totally Spies hentai universe?
Oh, I know about it.
It's like one for some reason
every episode
that show if you go back to it, it is just like every episode is tapping into like a different fetish community.
Yeah.
Okay.
They put those girls
it's in the content.
They put those girls through the ringer, man. There's an episode where they all become furries.
Yeah, there's inflation episodes. There's like there's a lot of shit.
Oh, there's one where they get like really muscly and like
that's your
episode. Let's go. Yeah.
All right. So we were going to talk about the rising price of Totally Spies merch in the modern era because
paying $50,000 to get yourself in a. Have you seen not the Hell of a Boss? It's the Has-Been Hotel. Has-Been Hotel.
Okay, yeah.
So someone paid $50,000 to get an animator to put them in a music video based on Has-Been Hotel, and it's a video of him in his underwear tied to a bed. And it's just some random music video, and it doesn't even get into porn or anything like that. I think the most is that he gets a kiss on the cheek from one of the characters. And that is the entire animation. It's 3 minutes long. And someone paid $50,000 for an independent artist to commission them into this cartoon.
Okay.
And
where was it going?
Where was this going? I don't know why I said that.
You were very invested. You're like, the moment you heard fetish, you started going off.
No, I think it's because we said the increasing price of getting yourselves into an episode.
Yeah, because, I mean...
$50,000 is the going rate now.
I don't have my quote price, but I know that Homestuck had that, where the Kickstarter was like, you can pay me a certain amount of money to get in the comic, right, or you can pay me 10 times that amount to live past a single page.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it was like, it was a joke, but like 2 people did it. 2 people were like, here you go, here's your money. They appear for 1 page, and then the next page showed their corpses.
Do you guys think that every Digimon tamer that has been like a guest appearance, I'll say, like Louis from the new movie or Willis from the old movie, are they like self-inserts from writers?
Or
like someone on the
I don't think
staff
so. I mean, like, you're like wondering if it's like that one like Powerpuff writer who like writes himself into the
It's like, I'll just put myself in here. Like,
I don't think so. I think that, like, listen, I should not be that hot of a take. I think not every character that is new to a piece of media is an OC.
No, but
except for Cold Steel.
Like, there's some of them that are.
Do you think Willis is like okay? Because Willis is an Omega Chat. All the girls like Willis.
Yeah, Willis is a real one.
So the Digimon movie, technically the 3rd Digimon movie, had a character Willis who's from America.
Oh, I thought there was only one Digimon movie.
No. I don't want to get
it's called Digimon the movie.
The movie. Thank God, Pokemon the movie.
Are you counting Angelica and Angela Anaconda as its own?
You know they're getting an HD re-release, of the movie.
For Angela Anaconda.
I was about to say.
I'm genuinely confused now. What are we talking about?
The Digimon. Okay. Digimon the movie. Sorry, there's 3 Digimon movies that came out in Japan. One was feature length, and 2 were like episode length. But like with higher quality animation. Mm-hmm. Then in North America, they said let's put all 3 movies into one movie and call it Digimon the movie, and let's trim each of them to make it fit to an hour and a half. In order to do that, the 3rd Digimon movie was cut in half, and so we got half the movie in North America.
They pulled a reverse Hobbit.
Yes, they pulled a reverse Hobbit.
Yeah, actually, that's
crazy.
But the important thing is, with the original voice cast from the English dub, they are about to release the Digimon the movie, all 3 first movies, in their full version unedited.
Oh. No way.
Yeah, there's a company that is like specifically exists to like revive old media, and they got together and they were like, let's get all the old voice actors, pay Bandai for the rights, and let's get this fucking movie out. And so it's about to come out this year.
This is my favorite Digimon news I've heard.
The Digimon update.
We're now Digimon update podcast.
That's my favorite. Did we say we're the Errata Sonata already, or is that?
I think I did. I said welcome. I said welcome to the Errata Sonata. Dude, we're an hour into this recording. You know, I hear. See, you complained about me dating myself. That timestamp is much worse than dating myself. Saying in some point in the future it will be January 28th, nobody cares. Saying we're an hour into this recording, they look down at their phone and they say we're 4 minutes into this recording. They say, what the fuck happened to that hour?
Hey, you really messed around with the recording, bro. I'm just so happy about that. That's great because it's frustrating that they really took the media of Digimon and tried to make it like Pokemon, even though Digimon has always been seen under that lens of like, it's Pokemon but different. You know what I mean? Like it's Pokemon.
Just capturing monster games.
But Digimon's so like, on the surface level, you can be like, oh yeah, it's like Pokemon, but it's different. It says Mon and they're little guys. Yeah. But it's so vastly different than like what Pokemon exists as a franchise. But then they saw the Pokemon movie come out and they're like, we need to do the same thing.
Do you think the Pokemon movie is good, or do you think it's nostalgia bait only?
Which was the first Pokemon movie?
Mewtwo Strikes Back, where he brings them to the island?
I just remember being very confused as a child.
Boys, this recording is going to be fucked.
This recording is going to be fucked, but we're hitting a very important topic. Do you think the first Pokemon movie is good or nostalgia bait?
I think it's nostalgia bait, but I think specifically, like, there are good emotional beats in the film. Like the reality is everybody remembers it because of Pikachu. That's what you remember for.
I don't remember this as well.
So the Pokemon are fighting their clones, and that song is playing, and Ash is climbing up the wall, and he's like, the Pidgeots are fighting each other while he's like climbing up.
When we were shouting Digika, he was watching Pokemon. But like everyone remembers it for like Pikachu trying to save the petrified Ash.
Yeah. And he slapped in the face.
Yeah. I do remember that.
So like, but I think as a piece of media, it's okay.
I remember being very confused as a kid, but I'm gonna say something very controversial. When I was younger, I did not like the TV show was the part of Pokemon that I cared about the least.
The show? Yeah, I've never watched the show.
Cards and the video games was my number one, and then the cards, and then the show. I was like, I watched it occasionally. Like, I knew
what about this is controversial?
Well, because I feel people like people really, really like the TV show.
So I used to watch. One of my closest friends back in high school was blind, and
she won the writing award.
Yeah, bitch. She stole my dreams.
Tape recorder in hand.
No, one of my friends in high school was blind, and he used to tell me, he's like, I was like, do you want to watch anything? We actually played.
You fucker. How dare you?
Let me get through my point. First of all, he's actually the guy I originally got into fighting games.
No shimming, so you beat him every time.
No,
there was any haptic feedback back then. You had to tell him where his character was on screen. Like, yeah, you're doing great.
No. What's it called? No. We used to play the dead.
These like card games that you would lie to him about what cards.
Oh, wait, yeah.
But no, like, what's in my hands?
Well, my friend was blind. He got me into fighting games because I downloaded a game from Xbox Arcade that had audio cues to designate your distance from your opponent, and it was the Deadliest Warrior, the show, the game. Sorry. And it was a 3D fighting. God. It was a 3D fighting game. And it enabled the audio levels change based on your distance. So we could play genuinely 100% against each other with him being blind. And it was great.
That's so
that's how I got into fighting. That's step one.
Wow.
Step two is I said, we went on a trip together. And I said, do you want to watch anything? And he's like, you know what? Can we watch Pokemon? I was like, why? And he said, because the show is simple enough that they describe every action that they're doing with words.
Really?
So even though I can't see what's happening on screen, when the characters attack, they shout their name so I can pick up on what's going on. When the characters are like, hey, what's that down the road? Like they say that out loud. So he's like, I never feel confused when I watch Pokemon. So it's just like an easy show for me to watch. Mm-hmm. So who's ableist now? Isn't that interesting?
Pokemon having described video because they need to pad the runtime by describing everything they're doing is like my favorite piece of Pokemon.
It's a feature.
That's pretty good. I would just a quick thing in the new Vanguard anime. They had a character who was blind playing Vanguard.
Yeah.
And the way that
she have Braille cards?
No, she better.
She felt
she
no
had
aura
little animal stickers on her cards.
That's illegal.
Yeah.
On her cards.
So you got banned from the tournament.
So, but I don't think they were like they're just regular fucking paper stickers. Did she have to like feel it around?
Yeah, she could have felt the perimeter
and be like, "Oh, I put the tiger on this one, so I know."
Got giant tits.
Yeah, but here's my issue. Were her opponents like, how many cards are in your hand?
Yeah. What's on your field? Like,
can I search your graveyard?
No, she actually had an assistant that was like telling her what was going on.
She had assistants. It was also cheating.
Yeah, that's bad.
Outside information.
Imagine if you got to play Digimon with an assistant, you might win a local.
How could you? I said don't bully me on this podcast. I specifically said that before we started recording.
I'm having an issue purchasing anime figures right now. Because every time I look at an anime figure that I go, this is sick. Either it's PVC or it's resin.
Or her ass is out.
Or it's not out enough. I said, why isn't it clothing removal? I say the price of shit that when it was sculpted 10 years ago and they released, let's just say 5,000 copies, that's it. They're never reprinting them.
Thank God.
And so every fucking anime figure that I'm not buying that's coming out this year, I'm like, the price is fucked. It's over. It's Jover.
It's Jover.
And I feel that exact same energy for why can't I buy cards on demand for Digimon?
Right.
Why do we have a speculative market in every card game?
I mean, it's a thing that I've been dealing with recently in comics too. It's at least in cards, there's a functional reason as to why they are priced the way they are. A good card in Magic, a Bayou, right? I don't know how much Bayous are going for now.
700 probably?
$700 for one card, right? But that's because they were from Alpha, and they're the only lands that tap for 2 colors of mana just innately. So, but that's a tangible reason on why it's good. Doesn't mean I respect the fact that it's $700, but at least there's tangibility to that. With comic books, they'll be
there's still some tangibility.
There's some.
If it's a renowned artist or it's a famous issue, art, it is still art. There is good comics and bad comics, and it's reader perception.
Yeah.
But there is a quality that can be measured.
There's also it's a lot of first appearances, but let me tell you about the speculative market now.
Yes.
Speculative markets in comic books,
also known as the crypto exchange,
which has especially changed in recent years due to the MCU and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, this character fucking what is it? Madam Web got her own TV show. She's this old Spider-Man.
It was
character.
A movie.
I know it's a TV show. If it was a movie show,
I've never heard of Madam Web. I don't know.
Basically, no one has. It's jumping the market on random obscure appearances of Madam Web.
Not because people care.
And then other Spider Women are featured in that show. So other Spider Women first appearances and stuff are going up because of that show being announced. the show is dog. The show is garbage. But it exists in that, therefore, that's driving up the price of these comic books currently until it drops after people realize the show is dog. So there you go.
That's pretty bad. I mean, here's the thing. So do you feel better about speculative markets when there is, like, from your side or like your point of view, like an intrinsic value, like with a good secret rare in Digimon, like a Death Exmon, let's just say, the classic example. Do you think that, like, you feel less bad about Death Exmon being expensive than, like, a comic being expensive?
Yes, because especially now because they've been doing facsimiles. Now, facsimile are basically reprints of old comic books in their entirety. They're the same thing. It's just newer and easier to get. But it is driving down the prices of, like, certain books because a lot of people are that want those books are buying the facsimile just for the sake of, like, oh, I have the first appearance of the black suit Spider-Man.
Well, I mean, I'm a big believer. I mean, that's at the end of the day, when I talk about, like, oh, we should be able to print Digimon cards on demand, that's what I'm saying. I just think that there should be an available facsimile at any point in time.
Yeah.
I don't know why Bandai or any card game, like, developer is not immediately being like, hey, I'd rather we get sales on the secondary market than we enable a secondary market to exist that chokes our players. Because I think we're in agreement. I think this is not a hot take to say speculative buyers hurt the community. They don't help it.
Yeah, no, it's always bad. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the one that I know of has, like, really bad buyouts. Like, a lot of speculation, a lot of really bad buyouts. Right. And it's because it'll be like, oh, in this format, we think this deck is going to get hit. That means this is going to be the new best deck, which means this card that almost directly counters the new best deck is going to be really good. And then the first best deck doesn't get hit, and they're like, okay, that was worthless.
That's pretty bad.
So they'll buy up everything to be like, oh, the whole format's going to warp around this new second best deck, and then it doesn't, and then it's like, fuck, I have all these copies on me. Or Yu-Gi-Oh! Is actually really generous with their reprints. They reprint a lot of shit, and then it's like, it makes it so that those cards that people buy out, so they actually punish the speculative buyers in a lot of ways.
Which is what I want. I absolutely, completely fuck them. Like, when the moment somebody says, I am going to buy cards and hold on to them, not to use them, but because of the potential future value, or to choke out the market, or to wait until it's hot and then flip it when it's hot, I think that, like, all you've done, I mean, you've given Bandai more money, which is, like, on paper, it's valuable for them. Which is why I'm saying what I want is for Bandai to produce the cards, and for me to say, Bandai, let me give you the money directly.
Right.
I will pay you so that way speculative buyers don't get my money.
Yeah.
I just don't know why we have not achieved, outside of a digital format, any kind of alternative to the scarcity of cards.
What we have, it's called ordering them from Hong Kong, like I do.
Yeah.
You should just order everything from Hong Kong.
I print my cards in Magic. Well, did we talk about the reserve list last time I was on the
We did,
podcast?
but, like, yeah, the reserve list exists in Magic. They can't print a bunch of cards. It's massively inflated the price of cards that shouldn't be inflated. And
it's kind of a bitch move. It's like
it's kind of a bitch move.
It really is, because they're doing it because they don't want backlash from speculative buyers or, card investors.
Yeah. This is wrong, but there's a claim in the community that because one of the Wizards of the Coast representatives came out at one point and said, don't worry, we're not going to print anything on the ban list or on the reserve list. There's a theory that, like, speculative buyers could sue them if they print stuff from the reserve list. Because, like, that was a promise from the company.
Oh. So even, like, 10 years down the line, they're still, like, stuck to their word of, like,
what
they did. Yeah.
So it's like, I don't think that's an accurate statement, but that's, like, that's the feeling from speculative buyers that, like, we're going to go after you if you, like, touch this reserve list. That was a promise.
So bad. That's a really toxic way to, like...
I wish every card on the reserve list was, I mean, straight up banned and reprinted. Right. If we can't reprint them, like, as is, then they should not be playable in any format.
Yeah, they shouldn't be playable in terms of, like, availability, because it gatekeeps people from playing the game.
Yeah, and that's the whole problem, is that in Commander, a lot of those cards are legal. And so I print them. Like, I play with them because the dual lands, they're good cards, but they're not overpowered. They're they're lands that work in every deck. Yeah. Right? And there's no reason not to include them.
Got to pay $700 for that, bro.
Right. So I just print them.
I have a lot of respect for the idea of proxying cards.
Proxying,
But no, I mean, I support it, and the reality is that locals, it's not like we're gonna get any trouble for it. Like, the stores are pretty reasonable in terms of, like, what?
It's just a weird conversation that we even have to, like, preface this. And, like,
the idea of
it just feels so strange to me, especially because I've been more interested in like digital mediums or digital gaming recently. It just seems like such an alien concept, but it's something that's so ingrained in card games of like, oh, do you mind if I proxy? Yeah. And then a person will turn around and be like, yeah, you piece of shit, go fucking buy the card. It's like,
I at least had to pay for my power.
Yeah,
is that the quote I told you last time? Someone told me.
pay to win kind of shit. It's like, why are we like this?
Well, but I don't get more than anything. It's like, don't you want to play against good decks and see if your deck's actually good?
That's what I mean.
Do you just want to play against like a little baby who doesn't know how to play the game? Like, listen, go visit the Hamilton Digimon community. They're all there.
Now,
like,
I'm gonna take the flip side of it and say that like, I love playing digital card games that give you like, you start with shit and you have to like grind out and you have to like obtain all the pieces.
You like climbing the ladder.
Well, not climbing the ladder, more or less like finally assembling the deck that I want to play.
Yeah,
I finally have all the pieces.
Whether it's a multiplayer format or not, it's the same thing. You like building up to an end state that you feel like accomplished.
It's like playing with a jank deck that every now and then you're getting like another piece to go towards it. It's an enjoyable experience, and you can kind of see how your strategy and your like gameplay evolves as your cards get better and better and closer to like more of that cohesive strategy that you want. Playing Legends of Runeterra, Hearthstone, things like that, where you have to acquire these cards over time, craft them, open packs. It gives you that experience that like I feel is, not as available or maybe more frowned upon in, paper card games where like, dude, just go buy singles. Yeah. Just go buy the deck you want to play.
Yeah, like it's so sad because I started with limited. I started with draft, and then I went over to standard much later. The excitement and the joy of playing with limited resources is achievable in limited, or it's achievable in when you don't buy singles. When you go, these are the cards I got. I have to build decks out of it. Which is essentially just sealed. It's sealed with more steps.
It is sealed, yeah.
But I don't think you can't get the toothpaste back in the tube, my guy. Like, there's no going back.
But it's just like I said, it's just appealing to me in that like
focusing on the meta game of how you acquire those cards is wrong. It's uncompetitive for the
it's game definitely uncompetitive, and it's like it's uncompetitive. It's uninteresting.
It's unhealthy. I'll tell you what the worst feeling is actually in Magic in Commander. I'm a big deck builder. I love deck building in Commander, and a lot of days like
this guy's never net decked in his life.
Not in Commander. I have for CDH, but not for a regular Commander. I net deck. But what I'll do is if I'm trying to play with a certain play group, I'll have different levels of decks to play with. So I love having decks to play against new players with, right? So there's certain types of decks that you want to play against new players. They're not too complicated. They're not too strong. They show off a lot of the different things that you can do in the game, so you can like teach new players, right? Yeah. And so the worst feeling is when I was building a deck to play against new players, I found this cool card. I was like, this is an old card, but it's such a cool effect. Like, it's not that strong, but it's very interesting. Force Field.
Oh, no.
Yeah, why would you ask? You don't know cards.
Exactly. I was just interested.
All right, do you want to give us the shortest version of what it does?
It's an artifact that sort of redirects damage.
Gotcha.
So it's
like Stuffy Doll, like where like it.
You can you pay a cost to negate the damage of a creature.
Okay.
So I think I might have told you about this card before.
You may have.
It negates the damage of one single creature in a combat. So in Magic, you can swing with all your creatures at once instead of like in Digimon, you swing with one at once.
Yeah, one at a time.
Right, one at a time. So I was like, this is a cool card. It negates the damage of one creature. I want to put it in this deck because it fits the theme of my deck. And then I looked at my list. I was like, this is a deck list I would even consider buying because it's for like new players. So I don't really want to like, they ask what set it's from and I show them the fake symbol and it's like, I don't know. But I looked at it and I was like, why is this deck like $600? And I look and it's because Force Field is like a $300 card plus.
Way.
And I was like, why is this a $300 card? It's not that strong, especially nowadays. And I looked it up and it's on the reserve list. And it's because it used to be really, really strong, like back when they made the reserve list.
Yeah.
And so they put it on the reserve list and it's just so non-meta. It's a card that
it's been so powercraft to be irrelevant.
So powercraft that it's irrelevant, but they put it on the reserve list and they have this thing where they can't take these cards off the reserve list. And I said this would have been such a cool card to put in this deck. It fit the theme. It would have been great for beginners. But I can't get it or I have to like print the whole deck.
What you just described is the issue with the reserve.
Yes.
That is fundamentally the problem that they have, and it's like
the reserve list being legal in certain formats.
Yeah, and it's just like it's the fact that you look at a card like that and you're like, this isn't worth banning at all. But it's a crime that something that is this fun and niche is just never going to be reprinted, and it's $300 for me to get a paper copy of for a legitimate like deck.
Yeah.
It's just awful. It's just bad, and it's like you don't want to ban a card from play because of it, but you don't want to keep it in play because then you're going to run into that situation. Oh, I'm going to build a deck with this, and then you grab it, and then you're like,
no,
maybe
not. That does not work.
Maybe not this card, and then you have to like go back to the drawing board. But it's something that you were excited about.
Yeah, and I don't want to print it and then show up to the game and then show them the card. I'm like, hey, you're a new player. This is a cool card. Let me show you what this card does. And they're like, great. Where do I get one? And I say, do you have $300?
Do you remember getting into Flesh and Blood? Did you ever play Flesh and Blood?
No.
Okay, so Flesh and Blood has equipment cards that a lot of them are. Some of them are better for like what class of character.
We should very quickly say Flesh and Blood is essentially a leader game where you have one character. You'll never play a second character, but you'll draw action cards and you'll play them to do your attacks.
Yeah.
So you have a character and you have equipment that you attach to your character.
Yeah. Right. And so essentially your resource doesn't come from. You don't have permanent resources like in Magic with lands. You have to pitch cards in your hand to give you resources in order to play your cards.
Any card is land, except it's single turn use.
Yeah. And certain cards will pitch for 1, certain cards will pitch for 2, and certain cards will pitch for 3.
So they have like an active and then a pitch.
Yeah, so as a rule of thumb, the more it pitches for, so the more mana it's worth, the less valuable the card will be.
Right.
Yeah.
And essentially every card in the game has 3 variants of like the neutral, the mana heavy variant, and the power heavy variant.
Yes. Generally, the neutrals are like the least interesting ones because you either want to see the top of that scale or you want the best cost, like the best bang for your buck. Anyways, so they have an equipment card that can go for any card, and it's every 3 turns. Like every turn you gain a counter, and then once you have 3 counters on it, you can remove 3 counters to gain 1 resource,
1 free mana without having to pitch a card.
That is a $1,000 card.
Yes.
$1,000.
You only need 1 for the deck.
For any deck.
Because it's a piece of equipment, but
anytime you want to play a competitive Flesh and Blood experience, you have to play you have to put $1,000 into
because there's no
card.
color restriction.
There are
like you have class restrictions,
but that is a generic.
That
item.
is a generic one. Yeah.
That's a white card.
So it's like Mana Crypt.
So we're looking at deck lists, right? We're going through deck
and
lists.
all of them are they're like, oh, it's a $2,000 deck. Why is it $2,000? Because these 2 cards are worth $1,950 together.
Exactly. And then you look at a bunch of cards and you're like, how are you ever going to get this to work? Like you remember I was playing Oldham and he was like very high costed, and I was just like, how the fuck am I going to pay for any of these? And it's like, oh, you just get 1 free mana every turn. Right. Yeah, I don't have $1,000 to do that. Right. So why is that a thing?
Well, we have the worst version of this in Digimon, because I get so mad every time I go, oh, I really want this card, and I look at the bottom right corner and I see P. I see the letter P written promo
cards.
I get so mad. I before the new Diaboromon stuff released, I bought my 4 Diaboromon Aces, and at the time I bought them, they were like $20 Canadian, and then I also had to pay customs. It was kind of a fucking headache. I'll be frustrated. You know what? Let's go on a journey very quickly. And
let's see what the market's at right now after.
After we were gonna go through your list of where these cards went before they got to your house. I thought that's what we were gonna look at because you were in my car very angry about that.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. We did have an issue. Here, I'll get into that in a second. Let's find out what they're going for right now. Oh. Yeah. So they just released support. I mean, the prices are gonna rise. It looks like they're around 20 USD. But they could go up to like 35. The real answer is they're not available.
Right.
Which is actually the bigger issue, because if it's not available, the price it costs is whatever they choose.
Yep.
Right.
If somebody says I have a Diaboromon Ace available for $50, I go, do I want to play this deck or not?
Right.
That's the answer.
Well, that's the biggest issue I've been having with Vanguard recently, and that's why you're like, oh, you spent $100 on a Vanguard deck? It's like, yeah, ideally I wouldn't have, because it's not like fully put together. But it's because a lot of shops don't carry the cards.
So you have to ship it in.
And you have to ship it in. And not a lot of places are shipping to Canada through TCG Player. So getting those cards was actually a decent hassle. Still haven't come in yet. So I'll probably end up having to pay customs.
That's rough.
So it just kind of sucks. And the truth is it's just because of like availability. Yeah. It's not because the cards are like genuinely amazing. It's like they're $3 cards, but they're just harder to find.
I do. Well, sorry. Do you want to finish the thing?
Well, I was gonna say that the promos being functionally different cards, like they're a new addition to the card pool, I think is a big problem.
It is. They should be altars like how Magic does.
It's a problem mostly with Japanese card games from my experience.
Yes, I think that is an accurate statement.
Yeah.
But like I'm right now, Diaboromon Ace was an issue. Ukomon is a big issue because Ukomon's a very good card and is interesting in a lot of decks. And the moment there's a promo that's good, I just go, I wish this did not have P written in the bottom right, or I wish this didn't fucking exist.
Yeah. Right.
I would rather the game say that promo cards are not legally tournament playable than have them exist in their current form.
I remember when Digimon was pretty much just alt arts for their like promo cards. And I'm more okay with that.
What, one Digimon?
Yeah, just when the game was.
Oh, you remember back?
Like
no, there have been promos forever.
There have been functionally unique promos.
There's been functionally unique promos for a very long time.
I just remember. I think the things that
because there was the original promo book, which was the six of the original rookies, and then I mean, yeah, it's been relevant since I think essentially since when the English game came out, we've had promo cards be relevant. We've got 120 promo cards that are legal in the game right now.
I remember spending fucking $20 a copy on that promo auction.
I paid $50 a copy for 4 Diaboromons back when Security Booth Diaboromon was relevant.
And like the problem is like then they print a card like the new BT 14 Agumon that just says like plus 2k for Greymon.
Which is
same card, same fucking shit.
Yeah.
And it's better because it has a main effect as well to let you just Digivolve for free. And it's like I spent $20 to get this effect, to get 2k.
Back in the day, well, that's the nature of power creep. But yeah,
but it's just crap regardless because they wouldn't be $20 cards if they were just in a booster set.
See, okay,
same thing with starter decks as well, right? Because you and I went to a card shop.
Yeah, starter decks.
We asked for starter decks, and of course, the only starter decks they had were the shit ones.
Yeah, so he needs his Gatomons to build his Mastemon deck.
And so those starter decks were out of stock because they have good starter deck cards in that deck. And those are some of the starter decks are okay, like the ones that have the boosts, right?
Yes.
And then there's some starter decks that just don't get bought up. And so they don't have relevant cards.
Yeah, that's like the Ragnarlord one.
Yeah, Ragnarord was available.
Yeah. There's also all those old like monocolor decks, like the green and the
if you remember back in the day, the original 3 starter deck were impossible to find because
I remember that.
And it was for hilarious reasons because I think the main reason was they had level 4 blockers that digivolved for 1. Mm-hmm. So it's like
those came out in a set.
No, the green one came out in the starter deck.
Okay, maybe that one. Kabuterimon.
Yeah. And it was a very relevant card to have in the deck, and so you had to buy the starter deck to get this 1 to Digivolve, level 4. That the only thing that mattered was it was a 5k blocker.
It's like I'm saving 1 memory to Digivolve up to a champion. Like I remember running Pitomon, and that's why it stuck out to me because like I ran Pitomon for a while, but I do remember Unimon being in the original starter deck for yellow, which is 2 to Digivolve, and I believe it's 6k blocker.
Yes,
worse, but
it is worse.
There. But it's like, the fact that those are starter deck cards being functionally independent as well are, I don't think, a problem.
I think the moment you buy something from retail and its price at any point in the future goes up, in my eyes, that is a failure of the game.
Yeah, and you're right in saying that it's not only poor game design, but it's unethical. And I think you're kind of in the camp, the feeling that I get from you just by knowing you for such a long time is you're very anti-barrier of entry.
Yes.
Basically anything.
I want very high accessibility.
Yeah, right? I think that's fair. And that's not a big ask, especially from think about Pocket Paragons, right?
Best game I've ever played.
Honestly, LCGs are...
Anybody who's interested in Pocket Paragons, the latest 2 sets have just released from Kickstarter.
Are you doing an ad read right now?
They've just shipped out to me, and you can catch me at a local game store, and I will have it in my car all the time. But also... you can go look up Brian McKay, Pocket Paragons, or Space Lion, or
it's Soulless Game Studios.
Well, Soulless Game Studios is a developer, but I was going to say Space Lion is their affiliate game, which is going to be featured in the new set. Go play Pocket Paragons. It's really fucking good.
Yeah. Also, LCG releases just so
LCGs make
amazing.
me feel so good. I think I talked about this before. I played do you guys know who Dead Orpheus is? It's a web series video producers. And they made a bunch of series. One of the series they made was The Gamers.
Wow.
But
Gamers, rise up!
It was about, The third one is Gamers Darkness Rising.
God.
But yeah, no, they're not amazing pieces of media. But the important thing is that they're like good content producers online. And they released their third film in the Gamers franchise, and they released an LCG with it. It's the first LCG I had ever really played. And it was essentially just, it's kind of Magic-esque, but the important thing is everything I want to play comes in the box.
Yeah.
Right.
And the moment I played that game, I was like, why the fuck do trading card games exist?
Yeah.
How do we exist in a world where this is fucking morally acceptable when LCGs could and should be the standard?
Magic has an LCG. They have something called Magic Game Night, where they give you 5 decks that are just like prepackaged. And they play
I do remember this.
And they're balanced for each other. They're one of each color, and you're just supposed to bring it out with your friends, and just you each take a deck and you play a shitty Magic deck that are like balanced around each other.
That's so gamer.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way,
But like, why isn't that everything?
LCG is a limited card game, and generally that means every
You buy a box
Yeah.
and a playset of every card from that set is in that box.
Yeah. If you have everything you need, you pay once, and then if they want to add additional content to the
They
game,
release a new box.
There's a
It's
new
like,
box.
like an expansion set.
yeah,
Right.
an expansion set, and it just builds on top of what's there.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes it'll be self-contained. I'd say the majority of the time, from my experience, they've been intertwined, so you can like go back to the old set
Yeah.
and use those cards.
Almost always that is the case.
Yeah.
The issue with LCGs is that like how you were saying with the Magic one, a lot of them are minimal or no deck building.
Right.
Because they're built around like this is our balance of power and like these are the decks that we designed, that's it. Part of why the Gamers board game made me excited is because it was a pool of cards, a library of cards that I could then deck build out of.
Yeah.
And that's what made me feel so excited about playing that LCG. Because it gave me everything I wanted from Magic, but it showed me that TCGs and CCGs, trading card games, collectible card games, are not the only way of getting cards into players' hands.
I mean, generally, it's like I think let's not be wrong about this though. Like there's an appeal to opening the card that you're looking for. In a
this
That's
is
what I want you to think.
That's what
okay?
There is an appeal to it. No, there's
It's gambling.
it's gambling. But there is a
I
know that.
I know there is. But
My
at the
little
end of
heart
the day,
can't take it. Okay,
Yeah.
I need to stay.
I
on
don't
the
like
moral
it.
high ground.
just because there's a dopamine hit from doing the action doesn't mean that it's a good action to exist in the card game.
But I'm saying that we don't like it collectively. That's fine. I'm saying that some people are going to look at an LCG and be like, I like to collect cards.
Then they can go on their fucking computers and look up Bitcoin card game and then go play that and get the fuck out of Digimon.
Actually, it's so funny because
Go
today,
play Logan Paul's. What was that one? The Egg Game.
The end game, yeah.
today there was a card game I found on Steam it's not out yet, but it's coming out soon. I forget what it's called, but it's literally a game about opening packs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if I can tell a little bit of an anecdote kind of about that is I got
An anecdote on my podcast?
a little bit. I got a friend into Magic recently,
Yeah.
and this friend I kind of knew didn't have the best spending habits when it came to new.
You killed him.
Yeah,
You just murdered a man.
I might have just murdered a man, but I knew this person has dabbled in sports betting and stuff before. So I'm not a person to stand on a moral high ground and tell someone how to spend their money. But this person was interested in getting into Magic, so I introduced them. And they kind of went crazy.
And bought a bio immediately.
No, they didn't. No, that's the worst part is they buy packs. They don't.
Oh,
Yeah.
They're a packer.
Hold on.
There's-
you know somebody.
People at the shop. There's people that come into the shop that I'm at. Like
Hold on.
they just buy Pokemon cards.
I'll be kind enough to not mention him by name, but I'll be cruel enough to make it clear who I'm talking about because he'll know.
Okay.
Because there is a father in our community who goes in and every time he goes into the store, he said, "Let me buy a few packs." He said, "Let me just toss a couple on the pile," and then he gets a hit, and he's like, "My luck is so good." And I said, "You bought 3 packs every week you came to this store, and then you're surprised when like on the 10th week that you got a hit."
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's got to happen eventually, right?
That's what I'm saying, though. I think that logic and that mindset that's a poison.
No.
That's what you want, Jeremiah. Jeremiah, you're
No,
buying into what
I've witnessed people come into the shop. I'm working there, and they're like Pokemon addicts. Pokemon's the big one. They
Right.
come in, they say, give me 3 packs. They open them up. They open up at the counter, so I'm watching them. They open the cards. They go, fuck, nothing in this one. They slam it on the counter. Hit me with one more. And so I ring them out. I ring them out another pack. They open it. Fuck, there's not enough. They do one more.
But okay, here's the thing. I need to say something because here's the issue.
What a surprise.
Here's the issue. If there is no discount for buying a box or a reward for buying a whole box from your store, then it does make sense to buy. If you're gonna buy a box, don't buy a box. Buy packs at a time, and then once you get your hit, say this box is dead, leave the store.
Yeah,
right.
And like if it happens 2 packs in, you're golden.
I'm a homie. I tell people like the people that come in.
You don't get to say that about yourself. We can say that about you after you tell the story.
Okay, they come in and they're like, oh, I just like to open Pokemon. Give me a couple Pokemon packs. I say, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to open a new box for you because this box only has like 4 packs in it, and I'll shuffle them up so this way it's like there might be a couple more hits there for you.
I'm angrier about that than if you had let them buy from a dead box. Well, I think the idea of shuffling, I'm going to go off. The idea of a store going in and shuffling the product, that is the equivalent of weighing packs and then selling people the light ones. Like, I think it's so shitty for a store to be like, I have intentionally manipulated the odds of you getting a hit beyond what we already knew was already an unbalanced gacha.
I mean, I guess that's fair. It's just I feel bad for someone who's like, oh, I'm buying. It's like I'm buying. Yeah, maybe I'm terrible.
Yeah, very anti-homie.
I just don't want them to be like, oh, I'm buying 4 packs for my kid, and then the kid comes in and they're like, they don't pull anything nice or anything they care about. You know what I mean?
Because it might be a dead box.
Why?
My brother will get a Pokemon pack. He'll open it, it'll have nothing in it, and be like, this is great.
No, and
it'll be all commons. It'll be a recut, resealed pack of only commons, and he'll say, this is great. This is the best pack I could have asked for. Look at that. It's a Chinchu.
Yeah.
Anyone else remember Chinchu? Like, yeah, I remember Chinchu.
People are like that. People do really just like to see the artwork on the cards, and I respect that. But I still feel bad.
I guess.
I don't want you to buy from a dead box. It's like, you're going to spend $20. I want you to at least have like more opportunity to maybe get a hit.
I guess, but
I feel like an idiot if all 4 hits are in those last packs though. I feel like a dickhead.
I just never think it's a good idea for a store to manipulate the odds of pack hits, for whatever reason. Like, if you want to tell me like, hey, I'm always giving you're getting the next pack and I'm not going to show you how many are left in the box, I'm more okay with that than if they said, after if we got a hit in the first 2, we're going to open up the next box and shuffle all of them up. It's like, well, so I'm getting worse odds than if I just bought a new box.
Is this how every TCG works? Is that the boxes have guaranteed amounts of like rare?
Well, I think Pokemon.
So.
I know that's how Magic works.
Yeah. So as a general rule, yes. There's like, this is a blanket statement. So there's obviously exceptions and there's obviously, tweaks. But as a blanket statement, there will be in a given pack a certain amount of like each rarity available.
For packs.
And within like the pool of all packs, there will be a certain amount of higher rarities that can replace a card of a set rarity lower. So in Digimon, it's super rares and secrets could replace a rare from a pack, and packs have 2 rares.
Right.
So that's how Digimon works. And as a rule of thumb, that's pretty similar to how all games work.
Pretty much, yeah.
But the difference is how many SRs or secrets or alt-arts appear is pretty variable. And then there's ghost cards that Digimon has, and a lot of games have something equivalent, where it's like, here's a super ultra rare that does not take up one of the super rare, secret, or alt-art slots. It replaces, I think it's the other rare, like the rare before the last one. Which is annoying.
I mean, LCGs are just the best, right?
Well, Digimon tell you, like, per box, it's like you're expected to get 4 SRs.
It doesn't tell you.
It
doesn't tell you, but as a rule of thumb, you're getting 1... Oh, gosh. I'm getting myself... You have a 50% chance of getting a secret or an alt-art, and you're getting another alt-art.
Yes, I think you're always guaranteed 1 alt-art.
Yeah. And then there's a 50% chance that the other one is a secret or an alt-art. Yes. Technically, it's slightly above 50 because you could get the alt secret.
Right.
That can happen too. You can also get 2 secret rares in a box rather than like.
But only if one of them is the alt-art.
Yeah, and then on top of that, I think you get 7 SRs.
It varies by box.
It's Between 7 and 9.
7 and 9. Oh, yeah.
7 and 9. You know my experience with buying boxes. I've bought one box of Digimon and opened it.
Even though he used to buy cases.
I used to buy cases.
What's a case? 4 boxes?
Do you not know? 12.
Jesus.
Oh, so my friends.
The box is about 24 packs.
So okay,
yeah.
so
Jesus.
So for Vanguard, where we had the 24 different colors thing, and they'd feature like
one pack a tribe in a box,
and they'd pack. They'd basically say like, oh, this set there's these 6 clans included. My friends would be like, oh, like I'm interested in this clan and building this set. I'm interested in this clan. So we would split on a box, and essentially you'd pay like. It would come out to about $250 per person, and it's like, oh, I just get all of this clan, and you get all of that clan, and then that's how we would split it. So I'd pay, and you get full play sets of everything,
right?
And then you'd get a couple SPs as well, like special parallels.
Okay. He said that as if
I
was going to know that.
Sorry, they're like the equivalent to all times.
You get some SPs, here and there. You get some SPs.
You played gacha games before, you know this.
You get some shiny Pokemon.
So anyways,
do they call the alt art shinies in the TCG?
No, what they actually used to do. Well, first of all, in the TCG they had dark Pokemon. That's the first one they had.
Yeah.
They had dark Pokemon, dark Dragonite,
like Gale
dark
of Darkness.
We have There's a dark Charizard at the shop.
Dark Charizard.
All right. So then, what else?
And then I think the first shiny one was a trainer's Pokemon. I think it was like.
Lieutenant Surge's Electabuzz.
That's what it was. It was Lieutenant Surge's Electabuzz, and it was a shiny Electabuzz. But it didn't say on the card anywhere shiny, because shiny was not introduced in the actual game nomenclature until Gen 4 or 5.
Yeah, something like that.
So I think the first
they were just
shiny
like alternate colors.
Even though, let's be honest with ourselves, how much additional money Pokemon TCG could make
if they had shiny cards.
If they said every single card had shiny variants.
1 out of 8, 192.
Oh my god. Imagine the price of packs would skyrocket.
Oh yeah. But that would be a cool thing, is if their cards could be shiny but functionally identical.
Okay, well, hold on. I've got an issue for you. There was one set of Digimon that did it, and we loved it, and everybody else hated it. Because they said,
oh yeah,
you can get commons and uncommons as shiny variants, which were just foiled.
Yeah.
Foiled variants of commons and uncommons. And it was great because they were really cool looking and you could bling out a deck for like cheap. But people were upset because it affected the rarity of opening rares.
Single rare cards. Like, just,
So like,
why did that affect rare cards?
Because like it was taking a rare slot.
Oh.
You get 2 Rs per pack, and then like
it could be just a foil common.
It could be a foil common.
Oh yeah, I don't like that. I mean, every card individually.
I know, I agree with that, but the thing is that the function of having foiled up commons was so great.
Yeah.
And it did not meaningfully affect the price of rares.
No.
It increased it by 2%.
People are like, oh, these rares are gonna be like $5. You go to the set and they're like 30 cents, and you're like, what changed?
Nothing.
What changed? You still need to spend less than $1 on this card. It's just
because the reality is once the market is saturated, rares are so fucking common that it doesn't matter.
Okay.
They're not actually a rare. They're called rare because that's their name, not because of their actual rarity.
But everyone's opening up boxes to try to get SRs, secret rares,
yeah.
alt arts, things like that, and then it's like, oh, we have all these rares. We have giant piles of rares. I mean, you'll see it at the local game stores. People will just be like, here's my bulk, and they'll have rare cards in the bulk. It's like they're not rares; they're just the things that come in the pack.
Do you guys think that the EU is gonna step in and limit card buying, because they've already done it with loot boxes in video games?
I don't know. I would be happy if that happened, because if it happens there, it will probably affect us on a global scale.
LCG, LCG.
But unfortunately, I think that even if it happened, I don't think it would change the function of these games, especially talking about Digimon. Digimon's primary market is Japan, and its secondary market is North America and Europe and the rest of the countries running the English game. Mm-hmm. So if they say, "Oh, Europe can't buy our cards anymore," they go, "Okay, cool. We're just gonna stop selling to Europe."
So for Digimon specifically, you think it would?
For Japanese games in general, I think it would affect them. They'd like to keep hold of Europe, but. By the way, speaking of Europe, I should really say, speaking of China and Japan, we are actually have got news. We've got Digi News. Digimon update. So there's Digimon news because by BT20.
Jesus Christ! I already don't care.
A Scout's honor has been made.
Okay.
That we will be parity with Japan. We are going to be catching up.
And we're getting a reserve list.
Thank God. Finally.
No, but they're saying that we're going to be caught up to Japan by BT20, which they originally said that was going to happen by like BT8, I think.
That was before COVID.
Before COVID. Or right as COVID started. Oh shit, COVID's here.
Yeah, they said it was going to be caught up and then COVID happened, so now they're a few months behind.
Yeah, I mean, I don't actually think that's accurate. I think the North American release was December 2020.
Yeah, that sounds accurate.
But either way, what we did have is we had shipping delays because that was during COVID, and that's why I bought all my cards from the crashing Estonian market.
Right.
Because they had their cards like 6 weeks before us.
Right.
So even though we were on track to catch up, we then just got like delay after delay after delay.
Are there any card games that are released in both NA and Japan that are caught up?
Isn't Magic?
Magic is not a Japanese game. Magic is an American.
But you're saying specifically
Japanese
Japanese card game that has an NA.
Sorry, I thought you meant a game that was in Japan that was all okay.
Not a single one that I've played. Not a single game.
I don't have one that I can say. What I would bet is the ones that probably have had it are ones that just say, if you want to play our game, you have to play it with Japanese cards, and like they'll just sell English players Japanese cards.
What's the game that you
White
said?
Schwartz?
No. The one that you brought cards back from that had
Battle Spirits. So Battle Spirits had several Digimon sets,
right?
And then in 2023 maybe they released a new English format Battle Spirits game, which is essentially a new game.
It's a new game.
It's a new game.
It's a new mechanics.
It's Battle Spirits Saga. Yes.
Yeah, they're essentially like the game's been running for a long time in Japan. It's popular in Japan, but North America never had it, so they just said, "Fuck it, we're gonna make a new game under the Battle Spirits banner, and release it in English, and like we'll bring back a lot of ideas that we would think would
dumb it down for the Yankees."
They're also
more or less
they're taking existing characters and cards and just like literally giving them brand new effects for English, new costs, new effects.
So it's like the Warcraft game going to Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Same art and the names.
Yeah, pretty much. Some of them are functionally the
same. They're power
tweaks.
tweaks.
I remember when I was really, really into BSS, I was like looking at all
we were getting really excited about Battle Spirits. We got boxes of it. We thought it was really cool. It just didn't have the traction.
I still think it's cool. I still think it's a great game. I just, again, first of all, LCG release, please. Second of all,
I'll dissuade everyone listening from playing Battle Spirits right now. They'll say every card has Rush. Rush is a core mechanic. Yeah,
the game's kind of built around it in some ways. So like every card is a blocker.
A lot of matches can end with I'm gonna vomit my hand on the field and swing for 5 damage.
Yeah, it's an interesting game. It might not be for everybody. I think it's worth checking out at least.
We don't have the bandwidth to get into the details. We'll get into it off the pod a bit more. But it is a cool game. Mm-hmm. I actually think that we've talked around speculative markets for a long time, but it might be time for some closing thoughts.
Yeah.
Great, that's it. All right.
LCGs are better than TCGs. Comic books are annoying. Anime figures are hard to get.
My God, we never. Every episode, I start with anime figures and go. One day we'll come back.
And thank God we dodged it by the end of the episode.
Vanguard is
soon. Our set is going to be surrounded. There's going to be no echo in this room because it's going to be all anime figures.
It's going to be an echo chamber. We're just talking about anime.
All you hear is like anime thigh claps.
Can I mention something? It doesn't need to really be on the pod, but I think you'll get a kick out of it. All right. That's where we're going to end the Errata Sonata podcast. There may have been a cut after as we went to go look at anime figures online.
Do we even know if we had a natural jump off point or if we transitioned into nothing?
He'll find one.
I'll find one. Yeah. It's okay. I got to cut out 2 hours of content.
Yeah. That's the whole recording.
Yeah. Anyways, parting words. Buy singles and
play
Pocket Paragons.
Play Pocket Paragons. That's the real one.
Yeah.
All right. Night, guys.